This is English shorthand dictation number 197, dictation speed 140 words per minute. Ready? Start. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is with very great pleasure that I welcome the proposals which the Honorable Minister announced while presenting the demands for grants for the Ministry of Agriculture. In recent times, there has been a general feeling that the farmers in our country do not receive as much encouragement as they deserve at the hands of the government. I am quite sure that the announcements made by the Honorable Minister will bring a ray of hope in the minds of the farmers all over the country. I hope that the government is very well aware of the fact that the need for increasing the agricultural production is greater at the present moment than at any other time in the past. Of course, I do agree that we are in a very comfortable position as far as the food front is concerned. We have enough stocks of food grains at present time, and we are also hopeful of a bumper harvest in some parts of the country. Our public distribution system is functioning very satisfactorily, and the poor people are able to get their requirements of essential commodities at low prices. But at the same time, we cannot afford to overlook the fact that the balance of payment position is not favorable so far as we are concerned. Of course, we have been able to manage a very difficult situation which we had to face in recent months. But there is no doubt that there has to be a further improvement in the position as early as possible. We will be able to achieve this only by increasing our exports. Keeping this in view, the government is already taking steps to encourage exports. From the policy statements being made from time to time, both on the floor of the House and outside, I think that the various controls and constraints on the exports are likely to be removed as soon as possible. I am quite sure that these measures will go a long way in boosting our exports. But there is one important aspect which we have to take into consideration. If we look at the composition of our exports, we may find that agricultural commodities formed a major part of our exports even in recent years. Now, if we decide to adopt a more liberal policy in the matter of exports, we can only expect a further increase in the quantities of food grains and other agricultural products exported to other countries. This position may continue so long as the government policy and the global market conditions are favorable to the exporters. In this context, we have also to consider a situation where in a particular year the outflow of food grains by way of exports may go up to such an extent as to result in scarcities within the country. I think that such a situation may lead to consequences which may not be to our liking. First of all, the prices in the open market may go up. Secondly, the government may have to incur heavy expenditure in the form of subsidies for the purpose of maintaining the public distribution system. Therefore, there is every necessity for our agricultural production to keep pace with the possible increase in our exports. Sir, I wish to make only one suggestion in this regard, in addition to the suggestions made by my honorable friends on this side of the House. In spite of all our efforts over the past several years, we still see vast tracts of land lying waste. From this, we can easily come to the conclusion that our farmers just do not have the capital to reclaim those lands and bring them under cultivation. I know for certain that there are some big business houses who are interested in making investments in farming as part of their diversification programs. They may be in a position to make it a profitable venture because they have the required capital and also their own export houses. Perhaps they may expect some concessions like tax incentives from the government. Even now, in the field of industries, we are extending such concessions to export-oriented units. Therefore, I request the government to devise a suitable policy so as to attract private investment in export-oriented farming. If this is done, large areas of waste land can be brought under cultivation. At the same time, our exports of farm products will go up without any loss to the domestic requirements. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for this opportunity to participate in the general discussion on the budget. The Honorable Minister was advocating much for the welfare of farmers. He is very serious in handling the position to find out ways and means and see that the farmers are not put to any hardship. But unfortunately, due to the financial crisis, I am afraid whether he would be able to implement some of the welfare measures meant for the farmers. Sir, many state governments have already stated that they are not in a position to implement the dual policy as enunciated by the finance minister. They are saying that it is very difficult to implement it. There is every possibility of misuse of fertilizer, and also the funds meant for it may not be used properly. Therefore, the government should find out some ways and means to solve this problem as soon as possible. The government of India has decided to increase the price of fertilizer. The sowing season has started, and if the fertilizer is not available, the entire farming community would become upset. It would have been better if the subsidies were removed carefully and gradually. But the sudden removal of the subsidy for the fertilizer has caused a lot of problem to the farmers. Procurement of food grains should be done throughout the country, and the money should be provided from the central government to all the societies to procure most of the food grains or the oil seeds which they grow in their fields. There should be proper godowns to keep the produce. If there are no proper godowns, the entire commodity which we are going to procure is going to be a waste. Then, regarding remunerative prices, the Honorable Minister was kind enough to mention on the floor of the House that while giving remunerative price for the crops, he will take into consideration manual labor, investment on land, managerial cost, cost of inputs, market trend and transport, etc. Therefore, I would request the government that all these things should be taken into consideration while fixing the remunerative prices. Sir, the next point I would like to speak about is rural development and Panchayat Raj. This is a revolutionary bill which has been brought over and it has been discussed at length. It provides for 30% reservation for women. I would like to submit that it is our duty to see that this bill is passed as early as possible. Regarding drinking water, we should provide it to every village of our country. There are villages which do not have adequate water. Simply saying that we have provided drinking water is not enough. Inadequate water also means that there is no water. Since the population is growing by leaps and bounds, we should try to provide drinking water throughout the country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I rise to support the budget proposals. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Finance Minister on the effort he has made to get greater income with the least difficulty for the common man. Many points have been raised in the course of the debate, and I would not like to repeat them. However, first of all, I would like to point out the higher allocation made for the plan in the budget. In spite of the scarcity of resources, I am very happy that the Finance Minister has raised the allocation to some extent. We are aware that the reduction of unemployment, the removal of poverty, etc. will depend on how well we are implementing our plans. It is clear that so far we have not had any signs of reduction in unemployment. However, but for our plans, we would not have made great progress. We may not be able to judge the progress of the country with statistics alone. Visits to various places in different parts of the country and a closer look at the people will alone be able to make us understand the progress made.